Alrighty then, let's kick off 2022 with Margaret Thatcher. My best friend absolutely loves her, but a lot of my other friends hate her. And me being the fair and balanced person as I am, I try to judge things as objectively as I can, and Margaret Thatcher is no exception. I loathe the fact that Margaret Thatcher pretty much decimated our industries. She decimated Scotland, she decimated the north of England, she was completely, utterly ruthless. But Margaret Thatcher was unfortunately a consequence of the previous government. And the previous government was ran by a rather left-wing chap called James Callaghan. Regular power outages, crisis what crisis, bodies piling up in the streets, winter of discontent, having to borrow $3 billion from the International Monetary Fund. And in democracies, whenever you swing too far to one side, you will inevitably swing too far on the opposite side, which is exactly what happened with Thatcher. It's very easy to forget that before Thatcher, the trade unions had an insane amount of power. A simple trade union strike could shut the entire country down and paralyse it. 3-day-long power cuts, workers from other industries joining the picket lines, all while the union leaders were having negotiations directly with the government over beer and sandwiches. This is how powerful they were. And unfortunately, things like coal were starting to become a dying industry. A lot of these union leaders thought they could still take on the government. But like I said earlier on, Thatcher was completely ruthless. And she put them in their place. Do I agree with this? No. If you were going to close down an industry that a large part of your country, especially in a certain region, worked for, there's much better ways to do it rather than just coming in with an iron fist. Rather than just bulldozing down an industry that thousands and thousands of people work for, you could have at the very least tried to help them find other jobs. But no, they were completely abandoned. And at the same time, you could make the argument that a lot of those trade union leaders were ideological. Arthur Scargill, for example, trade union leader, he was known for being a communist and held strong Marxist views. Yeah, he's definitely got the best interests at heart and he's not ideological. So those are the things that I hate about Thatcher. Now, the only time I give Thatcher credit is I always refer to her as Britain's last Prime Minister, and a lot of people don't know this. She campaigned to stay in the European Economic Community back in the day. But once she saw that it was trying to take on the trappings of statehood and had greater ambitions, she became a Eurosceptic. She became completely against the idea of federalisation. And the other thing I give her credit for is the Falklands. Since World War II, Britain had been declining as a nation. We'd also been losing a lot of our influence, and the United States called a lot of the shots. You could make the argument we were becoming a bit of a puppet to them. Whenever a president told us not to do something, we didn't do it. Until Thatcher. Reagan was completely against Thatcher intervening in the Falklands, and he pressured her not to. But Thatcher's response was basically, those are our islands, they're our people, we're going to defend them. Apart from that, I disavow Thatcher.